Hello, fellow Toastmasters. This is my first podcast. As part of the Dynamic Leadership Program Level 4, I'm supposed to deliver a podcast, and this is the first part of it. So, the topic is dynamic leadership and changing trends. So, in this first podcast, I'm going to elaborate the concept of leadership from, say, antiquity and try to explain it and try to come up to the point like modern times. All right, so let's start. So, what is leadership? It's a quality. We know our Lord, our God has given us basic instinct or basic qualities. Like we go for food, hunting, reproduction, security. Those are basic instinct. But what about leadership? And it is a basic instinct. Have you gone to Arctic and saw the pack of wolves? Tell me, sir, what you observe. You will say, look, there is the alpha. What is that? Have you seen a hive of bees? And what you observe? There is a queen, there are workers, and there are some other things. So that these are alpha is a leader, isn't it? The queen bee is a leader. Look at that flock of geese. Do you know how they fly? V. And the leader is at the first. He's guiding the next of the flock. How that instinct comes? Who taught them? Did any modern technology taught them the leadership or management? No. Those were the basic instinct. But in humans, it can be taught. So you may not have the basic instinct of leadership. I mean, I apologize. Some may, some are born leaders, others can learn about it. So this is about the leadership. So let's see how it evolved over the time. When in the antiquity or like humans were like hunter-gatherers, at that time leader was a most powerful person in the clan. Like they have a clan, they will choose a most powerful leader in them, and they will follow it for the hunting and all other things. So that becomes king. So king was the leadership. But our pharaoh, that becomes even god. Like people started thinking king as a god. So the spiritual leadership comes after that, because naturally the king started, the most powerful person was supposed to be the king and the leader. But when that thing becomes hereditary, so what happened is, even you are not powerful or you don't have those virtues, due to hereditary, you will assume it, and you will have the powerful circle around you. So it was kind of not correct system. So the spiritual leadership came. The Abraham said, this is a bigger image and this is a smaller image. Then why this God is not taking up this God? Because people made things as a God. The leadership was misused. And that message went through. And the spiritual leadership came. People understood there is a, you may have a king as your leader, but there is a spirituality. But again, I mean, spirituality is not a topic of this discussion. We'll not go there. So there were spiritual leaders. That's what I wanted to say. But generally, the power or leadership remained in the hand of the most powerful. So that was the most quality of the leader from the start. But later, it started changing. So if you ask who was the most prolific leader from history till now, I would give a one very great example. Do you know that guy started, okay, and look at the terrain he was following. It was all desert, very, very difficult terrain. I don't know what kind of, even in today's modern logistic, it's very difficult to follow that terrain. So are you saying he went, followed that desert terrain, he went to the Persepolis and he defeated that army, because that army was sitting in the citadel. It was a fresh army, and he was carrying his army from the very difficult terrain, which even today's logistic, you will have very difficulty to provide the goods and supplies. So that tired army is going and defeating the fresh army? No. What was happened was, there was a leadership. King Alexander, the name was sufficient. War was not fought at all, but it was won most of the time. King Alexander, that was the leadership, because all the followers immediately followed it, or he get the followers. Why that thing happened? That we have to understand the situation at that point, like what was governing, because there were different kinds of people were there at that time in the known world, and how he was unifying it, what strategy was behind it, which was unifying it or getting accepted everywhere. That was the thing. So again, that's not the point of discussion right now, but that was the greatest example of leadership. So you can say the leader came, he saw, he won without fighting the battle, because we can clearly see the battle cannot be fought, because the army is coming from the difficult terrain, tired, and somebody sitting in their citadel with fresh supplies, and you say they fought and somebody win. That doesn't look like logical. The correct thing was, the leadership was the great. He came, he saw, he won. That was the thing. So let's see, follow afterwards what happened. Let's jump 1,000 years after that, more than 1,000 years. Then what happened? So let's come to Asia this time. So King Alexander was at least a prince. He has a kingdom behind it. But look at that guy whose name was Temujin. He was just a clan. Okay. And look at the territory he won. Even we agree that was mostly a barren land and only few places were inhabited. And if he won that, then like he was winning the 1,000 square kilometer or more than that land was coming to under his leadership. But we have to understand one thing. What was the logistic at that time? How was army traveling? What was the food? Always we have to remember, forever and always, army runs on stomach. Army runs on tummy. It needs to be fulfilled for them to do the war. So in case of Temujin, whenever they reach at some point, some fertile land, and they win it, so he has to motivate them to go to the next station to win it. Because if you see the path he's followed, several places were good. I mean, in between was the barren land, but several places on the steps were great, where his army of strength should have been said that, okay, I don't want to go further. But his leadership made it happen. Isn't it a greatest example? All right. So let's travel down the timeline, let's say 400-500 years later, or probably less than that. I think not 400. Yeah, less than that. Now let's see the leadership. Okay. Now let's understand. It was a customary practice at that point in time. Suppose you win a war or you make a battle, then what was happening? The king will award you as a knight. He will knighted you. Not only that, depends upon what territory you won. He will say 25% is the land you govern. He will say you will make that revenue and roll up to the kingdom. So he will become like a king at that in that territory. So that's what was called knight. So that was the thing. Was it anything wrong? It was followed almost everywhere. That was the practice. That was the kind of motivation for the leadership. Now here what happened? What he was given, they gave him 3 broken ships. Absolutely. Because if the ships needs to be repaired, replenished, and stocked, restocked, just from Seville to Canary Islands, that means those 3 ships were broken at the start. And we know what was the crew given to him. And what was his demands? He was saying, if I found the new world, which I'm sure about, I will have the 25% of land, revenue, I'll be the governor. So it was a natural. I mean, what was the different? But thing happened that leadership, you have to understand what you say is not important, how you say is important. So it was really perceived probably that things were taken negatively. I know that guy was taken negatively always in the history. Because we don't know what to, at that time, even people knew that earth is round, but they didn't know for sure. All those mathematician lads, they were saying it's round, not the normal people. They were thinking Atlantic is vast. They're thinking your ship will fall down. The sea monster will come eat your ship. So this was really a great leadership to carry the crew, which was unfriendly, and take you to the new world. How big was the discovery? Right? Wasn't that a great leadership? I mean, people looked at things in different way. My idea is to show about the leadership. So that was really great leadership. Make things happen. Because people knew that, but it was difficult, right? That time finding the new world was so difficult situation. So putting us and giving us that new horizons, that was really great leadership. Okay, so what happened next? So that brings us to the mostly the modern times, and the modern management concepts and governing concepts start formalizing it, because we started creating the corporations. So from leadership started deviating from kings and most powerful to the corporates, so that people will come and they will create the goods production, and then it will be commerce will be governed. So the leadership come into the corporate world, in the management world, and that was such a great examples, because we have seen several examples that if you follow those management styles or leadership styles, then production of the system gets doubled or multiple than if you don't follow it. So create that leadership motivation, the desire, the vision, that was so important. We can give many examples of that. Starting from the Benz, Mercedes-Benz to Ford, which were like that time it was developing it was leading the manufacturing businesses. Then if you come to the East, the Japanese style of management was so famous. And Toyota or Honda started company when he was 54 years of age. So it was not given to him. Sam Walton developed the Walmart. So it was not created for him. So the modern concept started more formalizing. People started getting more learning about leadership. So as I said, for some, it was like a basic instinct. They came, they saw, they won. But not for all. So others can do it. Because earlier people were not thinking that. But we were so wrong. Because even you go in the history, you saw that not the person with high looks, high quality has become the leader, but otherwise. Let's see the example. People say, look at him. he is like such a tall, great looking, very powerful. He should be the king or he should be the leader. But the Lord our God said, no, the shepherd boy is your leader. So it goes with the quality. It can be taught. So that's the modern concept. Even you don't have the leadership traits. There are many types of leadership traits, which we will go into the next episode. But in the first episode, as I said, we are taking the overall idea about how the leadership developed or how the concept developed. So we can see that leadership can be developed. Even you don't have those kind of traits, like personal traits, but still you can govern it. Thank you.